The story begins inside a large space academy where young fighters from many worlds are trained to protect their people. And on this calm day, everything looks normal as stars move slowly outside the wide glass walls and students sit quietly in their seats, listening to a lesson about space battles. But at the very back of the room sits a human girl named Mira Hale, who does not stand out in any way because she keeps her head down, speaks very little, and wears the same simple uniform as everyone else. And most of her classmates believe she is weak or unimportant, because her test scores are only average and she never shows confidence or pride. While some students even whisper that she should never have been allowed into such a serious academy. Yet Mira does not react to their words and instead stays silent as if she is used to being ignored. And this silence hides a heavy past that no one around her can see, because long before this lesson she has already faced real war and real death. But she has chosen to bury those memories deep inside her, hoping she will never have to face them again. And as the lesson continues, the calm suddenly breaks when an emergency alert cuts through the room and the lights dim as a massive screen appears, showing a terrible sight of a human colony under attack, with cities burning, skies full of black alien warships, and people running for their lives. And the symbol of the Varkath Dominion appears, which instantly fills the room with fear, because the Varkath are known across the galaxy as cruel conquerors who see humans as weak and easy to crush. And the professor announces that the Varkath have broken the peace and launched a full attack, meaning the galaxy is once again at war. And panic spreads among the students as some freeze in fear while others feel excited by the idea of battle. And Mira feels her chest tighten as old memories return. Memories of fire, screaming alarms, broken ships, and friends who never came back. And although her face stays calm, her hand shakes slightly under the desk as she realizes the war she tried to escape has found her again. And while others talk loudly about glory or survival, a large and confident student mocks her openly by saying that weak cadets will not last long in real combat, clearly pointing his words at Mira, but she does not answer him because she knows arguing will change nothing. And instead she focuses on breathing slowly as the academy quickly shifts into emergency mode, turning from a place of learning into a military base, where alarms echo through the halls and orders are shouted over loudspeakers. And across space, human fleets rush to defend the Helios line, but they are already falling back under the powerful Varkath attack. And although Mira continues to train with the others, she never pushes herself beyond the minimum required level because she does not want attention. And this makes many believe she is truly weak. Yet inside her mind she is fighting a different battle as she remembers promises she made to herself to never return to the front lines, to never again become the person she once was. And as the days pass, the feeling of danger grows heavier because reports come in of lost planets and destroyed fleets. And everyone begins to understand that this war is different and far more deadly than expected. And while Mira keeps her quiet routine, the leaders of humanity make a difficult choice far above her, realizing that they need fighters who understand the enemy not from books but from experience. And so the stage is set for a truth to be revealed, because the quiet girl in the back of the class is not ordinary at all, but a survivor of battles so fierce they were hidden from history. And as the threat grows closer and the academy prepares for full involvement in the war, the opening of the story closes with a sense of tension and unease, showing a galaxy on the edge of collapse and a human who tried to live a normal life but stands at the center of a coming storm, where silence, fear, and hidden strength are about to collide in a way that will change everything. After the first warnings of the Varkath attack, the academy transformed completely into a war-ready base, and every day became a test of endurance, skill, and nerves for the cadets. As alarms sounded constantly, instructors pushed them harder than ever, and sleep became a rare comfort as they trained long hours with little rest, learning new combat techniques, practicing emergency protocols, and running drills in zero-gravity simulators while the fear of the approaching Varkath fleet hung over everyone like a shadow, making even simple tasks feel urgent and critical. And Mira continued her quiet routine among the cadets, performing well enough to avoid punishment, but never showing her true skill, because she understood that her strength was not meant to impress anyone here, and she did not wish to be singled out or treated differently. While other cadets continued to mock or underestimate her, not knowing the history she carried within her mind and body, and her past battles, no hidden, had already shaped her into someone far beyond what anyone in the academy could imagine, giving her a calm and measured presence that contrasted with the panic and excitement of her classmates. Yet the human leaders knew that such experience could not remain hidden forever, because the Varkath threat was too severe and required all possible advantage. And so one evening a full briefing was called, where the cadets, professors, and allied officers crowded into the main hall, which was now packed with military technology, holoscreens, and command stations. And Admiral Stone, a seasoned human officer with a stern face and cybernetic enhancements, stepped forward to address everyone, explaining that humanity was losing ground quickly, that the Varkath were adapting faster than expected, and that the regular fleets alone could not hold the front. And then, to the astonishment of everyone, he announced that a classified battle recording would be shown, one that had been sealed for 5 years, meant only for high command. And the room fell into tense silence as the lights dimmed and the screen came alive with the images of a human strike group engaged in desperate combat against overwhelming numbers. The footage showed ships moving with impossible precision through dense enemy formations, dodging fire, striking from angles no one thought possible, boarding parties fighting hand-to-hand with monstrous Varkath soldiers, and humans risking everything to protect fleeing civilians. And the cadets watched, spellbound, as the camera shifted to a helmet view inside one of the boarding teams, revealing a soldier moving through smoke, fire, and debris with calm determination, fighting without hesitation, improvising weapons, and protecting those around her, leading others forward when command was lost and holding the line even while wounded and outnumbered. And then the image paused to reveal the name of the soldier, Lieutenant Mira Hale, the same quiet girl who had sat unnoticed in the back of the classroom. And the hall erupted in gasps, whispers, and stunned silence as everyone realized that the girl they thought was ordinary had survived battles so fierce that most people would not believe. And even Rax, the cadet who had mocked her before, could not find words, his jaw dropping in shock, while Professor Kellner stared with wide eyes, unable to comprehend the truth in front of him. And Admiral Stone continued, explaining that Mira had been listed as killed in action to protect her from political and enemy attention, and had been pulled from the front lines to recover from severe injuries, and that during those years she had trained quietly here, hiding her identity and her past victories. And then, with a calm that contradicted the chaos of the moment, Mira rose from her seat, her movements deliberate, her face steady, feeling the weight of every stare and every whisper, knowing that her past could no longer be hidden and that the war had come back to demand her full attention. And she spoke softly, telling them she had wanted peace, a normal life, and to be left alone, but that the Varkath threat would not stop simply because she wished it, and that the fight was her responsibility once more. And as the cadets slowly began to comprehend the magnitude of what they were witnessing, one by one they stood in recognition, not cheering, but rising to honor her courage and the unimaginable trials she had endured. And in that moment, the perception of Mira Hale changed forever in the eyes of everyone in the room as the quiet girl who had been ignored or mocked was revealed to be a leader, a warrior and a symbol of human resilience, someone who had faced impossible odds, survived and returned, bringing with her experience, skill, and unbreakable spirit that would now guide them into the battles to come. And as the hall settled into a tense calm, The cadets understood that the coming conflict would require everything they had, and that under Mira's leadership, humanity had a chance because she was proof that strength could be hidden, patience could be powerful, and ordinary appearances could mask extraordinary ability. And the chapter ends with a quiet but powerful understanding among all present that the war ahead would test them in ways no classroom or simulator ever could, and that they would follow the soldier who had already faced hell and returned, not because she sought glory, but because she refused to let humanity fall. The final part of the story takes place in the dark, cold expanse of space above the planet Erebus Prime, where the Varkath have gathered their most powerful fleet, determined to destroy humanity in one decisive strike. And the human forces, though battered and outnumbered, arrive with grim determination, knowing that the fate of countless colonies rests on this battle. And on the bridge of a small command ship stands Mira Hale, now fully clad in combat armor and exuding a calm authority that contrasts sharply with the chaos around her. As she addresses every unit across the fleet with steady, resolute words, reminding them that their enemies think humans are weak and ordinary, but that they are about to prove the exact opposite. And as the enemy ships advance with glowing weapons and aggressive formations, human pilots execute daring maneuvers that no one else would dare attempt, diving through asteroid fields using wreckage as cover, and striking from unexpected angles, confusing the Varkath and forcing them to react defensively, while smaller boarding teams launch from fighters to breach the enemy vessels, engaging in hand-to-hand combat in zero-gravity corridors using ingenuity, speed, and sheer willpower to overcome the physically stronger alien soldiers. And Mira herself leads one of these boarding teams, moving with a quiet but lethal precision through the burning corridors of the Varkath flagship, anticipating every strike, deflecting attacks, and pushing forward despite wounds and exhaustion. And when she finally reaches the core chamber, she confronts the Varkath war leader, a towering, menacing figure who mocks her calm demeanor and questions how a single human could challenge him. And Mira responds not with words of fear, but with decisive action, triggering a controlled overload in the ship's core that engulfs the vessel in a brilliant explosion, destroying it from within while minimizing civilian casualties and protecting Allied ships. And across the battlefield, the Varkath fleet, shocked by the audacity and effectiveness of human tactics, begins to break apart, retreating as human ships, though damaged and weary, stand resilient, showing that determination, courage, and clever thinking can overcome brute strength. And as the battle concludes, the survivors regroup, exhausted but victorious, and Mira, standing among her fellow soldiers, feels the weight of both the lives lost and the lives saved, understanding that victory came not just from weapons or numbers, but from the human spirit that refused to surrender. And in the weeks following the battle, the Academy returns to a more peaceful state, and Mira, now respected not just for her combat skill but for her leadership and wisdom, takes up the role of instructor for new cadets, guiding them not only in the tactics of war but in the lessons of courage, patience, and resilience. While recordings of her past battles are used to teach the next generation that strength is not always obvious, that quiet determination can hide extraordinary power, and that every human has the capacity to rise against impossible odds. And as she walks through the halls of the Academy, seeing new students at the back row, hesitant and overlooked like she once was, she pauses and quietly reminds them that appearances can be deceiving, and that even the most ordinary-seeming person can harbor the ability to change the fate of worlds. And in that moment, the story closes on a note of inspiration and hope, showing that humanity endured not because they were the strongest in the galaxy, but because they never gave up, because they stood together, and because individuals like Mira Hale prove that courage. ingenuity, and heart can turn the tide of even the darkest wars, leaving a lasting mark on both the cadets, who will follow her guidance, and the galaxy that witnessed the incredible resilience of humankind.